First question. Simple. Do you believe that this country will be better off by the time that Donald Trump is done as president of the United States? Do you think this country is going to be better off? Yes or no? Those two things. And if the answer to those two questions is yes, everything is super easy to digest because it is so temporary. So temporary. You might even use the elitist word transitory. Transitory. Remember the left with their transitory is like Bidenflation when they were trying to, make it sound like it wasn't going to be much of anything. Like that whole first year, they would go, oh, we don't speak the language of the common people. We use words like transitory. And so they told us that whole year was going to be transitory. And then we're like, no, you guys are actually idiots. You economists that try to talk down to us. We know what the deal is, and this is not good. But the difference is this is transitory. This actually is. This is a temporary situation. The tariff situation, the reaction by the markets, people leading with their emotions. Never let your money and emotions cross paths. So just a rule for life here. Every bear market, meaning every time the stock market has declined by 20% or more, hasn't been a historically okay period to be investing. It hasn't been a historically decent time. It has been a historically great time, like the best times in American history to be investing when you enter a bear market. And that's just been historically because we're the United States of America and we kind of kick ass and things get better with time, even when we have really crappy leadership in between stages. And so here we are with Donald Trump. Are you kidding me? We hit a bear market. We got Donald Trump as president. Man, if you aren't all in at that point, where are you in life? Right? And so my point in mentioning all this, if you have not paid attention to what happened in the stock market today, oh, by the way, S&P 500 is higher than it was prior to the tariff announcements on Liberation Day. Higher. That's right. Market is up about 13% over this time a year ago. Oh, by the way. So you are up huge if you invested into the fear, and you're better off than you were before Liberation Day if you just kind of hung in there and did your thing. Just tuned out the noise and did not let your emotions get the best of you. Let the left live in fear. That's all they perpetuate anyway. You don't want to be that person. And I think that's just, and by the way, that wasn't all, because the S&P 500 also currently has, at the end of this week, its longest winning streak in over 20 years. You have to go back to November of 2004. That's right around the 2004 presidential election cycle to find the last time the S&P 500 was on as big of a winning streak as it is right now. So how is it that the sky is falling? How is it that the tariff's going to be so bad? Now, on Tuesday, I was talking about this with Trump's 100th day. You still had the left beginning this week. There's not going to be stuff on shelves next week. They're full of crap. We got more inventory in the United States right now than we had a year ago today. Everybody's stuff in stores. Unless you have some idiot that's just really bad at inventory and they can put stuff out. Don't play the fear game. Trust the process. Donald Trump is not going to fail you on the economy. Period. He will not. If ever there's a president, he's not going to fail you on the economy. It's that man. So here we are at the end of his 100-day week, and the S&P 500 is on a roll, doing things it hasn't done in over 20 years. Just awesome. Now, with that kind of as the backdrop to where we are, and by the way, remember, stocks tend to be leading indicators as well. So you have companies, you keep hearing, it's going to be tariffs here and some of the tech companies, and they report in their earnings. How is the stock market performing the way it is if this is going to be just the end of the world, right? So what you've actually had is as companies have had time to digest it, as they've been reporting, their earnings and telling and updating investors what's going on, it's actually getting better and better and better, right? So just all these lessons learned. Don't live in fear. Don't listen to the left. Don't buy the lies. And by the way, oh my gosh, do not ever take financial advice or listen to anything pertaining to economics from your godless souls and slanderous news media, because they are combinations of absolutely clueless in economics. And then if somebody does have a clue, they're just dishonest. So kind of want to work through some things. Liberation Day, by way of calendar, was a month ago today, April 2nd. Here we are, May 2nd. What we are experiencing and what has already happened is Trump's Great Reset. Not that Great Reset, Trump's Great Reset. Okay, so when you take a look at what this whole thing has been about, Trump coming back in, his Liberation Day tariff announcement, going far further than he did his first time around. What goes on? You know, the idea of the Great Reset's been out there for a long time, right? I mean, the World Economic Forum, they've been working on it for years. And, you know, the cabal, the World Economic Forum in Davos, they actually put it on their website for the first time in 2020. And right during the middle of the pandemic, they're like, go, this is the time. We're going to use the pandemic to create the Great Reset. And in that story, they said that the Great Reset was necessary to achieve a better outcome. And they said the world must act jointly and swiftly to revamp all aspects of our societies and economies, from education to social contracts and working conditions. Every country, from the United States to China, must participate. Every industry, from oil and gas to tech, must be transformed. In short, we need a great reset of capitalism. Okay, and so that's what they've been about, right? The big old Davos socialist Great Reset crowd. DEI and all. It's where it all was perpetuated, because capitalism was the problem. The WEF's socialist push, it called for a focus on diversity and equitable outcomes, right? And so just as any good one world socialist agenda would do, for years, you had the WEF push DEI out through governments, but through corporate America. It's a big, big part of it. And so as they were pushing their agenda, this is how you get things like tuck swimsuits in Target, and people of indeterminate everything that are like the spokespeople for stuff, and Bud Light doing Dylan Mulvaney can. That's how we got there. But it's also how you got the crap that's going on in your schools too. It all started with this big globalist World Economic Forum, Davos kind of agenda, the big Great Reset. Well, in many ways, our society began its own reset last November with the election results, bringing Trump back to power. It meant one thing: doing things differently. And what President Trump's Liberation Day, in what really his first 100 days was all about in most ways, was his version of the Great Reset. Just not the kind the WEF was looking for. The inverse of their reset, but actually to reset the way that we are going to be treated as Americans, to reset the way that trade is going to take place. The same way that he was taking a look at NATO and the UN his first time around, going, you guys are screwing us. You're all abusing us. Nobody pays their share. We pay for everybody. We protect everybody. Oh, by the way, take a look at our debt over here in this country. And then you screw us on trade 6 ways to Sunday. So let me tell you about the specifics of Trump's Great Reset coming together. Have that for you next. I'm Brian Mudd, in for the Great One.
Mudd Levin. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Folks, you work hard, you save, you plan for the future. And if you want to help preserve what you've built, Now's the time to take a serious look at physical gold. Gold doesn't depend on Wall Street. It doesn't care what the Fed does. It's a proven store of value that can add strength, stability, and security to your retirement money. With all the uncertainty out there, rising debt, rising costs, and so forth, you need something real. That's why I recommend Advantage Gold. They make it easy to learn how to move part of your IRA or 401k into real gold and silver, backed by experience, integrity, and top-rated service. Call right now, 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Protect what you've earned with something you can hold in your hand and trust in your heart. Call right now, 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. It's never too late to make your portfolio stronger, smarter, and more secure. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional.
The accident on the inner loop of the Beltway between 66 and the Leesburg Pike has now been cleared, but it is still slow from 66 to the 270 spur. And in Hillendale, there is an accident on the inner loop after New Hampshire Avenue. 2 right lanes are blocked. Traffic is jammed from 270. And in Chevy Chase on the outer loop after Connecticut Avenue, that crash is blocking the left lane and delays begin at Colesville Road. In the DuPont Circle area, a portion of Connecticut Avenue remains closed between N Street and DuPont Circle due to police investigation activity. And also in the district, there is an accident on Harvard Street at Columbia Road in Northwest. Now from GarageRepair.com, the WMAL Storm Watch 7 forecast.
Tonight, isolated showers and thunderstorms, lows in the mid-60s to lower 70s. Tomorrow, scattered showers and thunderstorms, warm, highs around 85.
Hey, if you have ugly yellow toe fungus, you got to hear about the secret 2-minute trick that I found for my husband. It works from both the inside and the outside. Thousands of people are using it to get rid of their toe fungus. You can check it out at crystalflesh.com. Jake started off with a small spot on his big toe, and then it spread and got really bad. His toes were nasty. It was so embarrassing. He was afraid to take his socks off. He hid his yellow and crumbly toes from everyone. He tried everything to get rid of it. Nothing helped. And then we found crystalflesh.com. It was the only thing that worked. In just a few weeks, his toes looked amazing. He's now walking around barefoot again. You guys need to try this. I'm telling you, this stuff is different. It's not sold in stores, but go check it out at crystalflesh.com. They'll even let you try it risk-free, so you have nothing to lose. But whatever you do, don't let it get worse. You don't have to live with this anymore. Go check it out now. Just click over to crystalflesh.com.
Ever wonder why your business doesn't show up on online search maps, but your competitors do? It's hundreds of things. Things that Cumulus Boost can identify and fix. And that's how we boost your findability. CumulusBoost.com. CUMULUS Boost.com.
A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
Dry January and sober October. They are 2 months of the year when a lot of people try and go without alcohol. But for anyone out there who needs to hear this, you obviously don't have to wait for either of those months to give it a go. Maybe you try around your birthday, or maybe today. I'm not saying everyone needs to cut out alcohol entirely, but just about all of us would benefit from cutting back. And you can do that by setting SMART goals, meaning be specific with your plan, make it measurable. How many drinks are you going to cut? You want your goal to be achievable. Don't jam your calendar with social events where it's going to be more difficult to avoid alcohol. Make your goal relevant. How will not drinking make your life better? Finally, your goal should be time-based, meaning how long are you going to do it for? You can always build on your success. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I was choosing alcohol over my family. That's when I made the call. Now I'm finding better ways to cope.
Mental health care works when you make the call. Visit mentalhealthcareworks.org. A message from the American Psychiatric Association Foundation.
Around the clock updates and uncommon understanding.
Listen to this, because this stuff is going on behind the scenes and you don't know about it.
News Talk 105.9. Making sense of the news.
Hi, I'm Jamie McMurray, professional race car driver here with cab driver Artie.
Professional cab driver.
Sorry, professional cab driver Artie. Drinking responsibly is knowing your limits. If you are over yours, ask Artie or someone like Artie to get you home safely. To learn more about drinking responsibly, go to beforeyoudrink.org.
So,
You think I could take your number 26 Crown Royal race car for a spin?
Would you get out of there?
Be a champion. Drink responsibly. This message has been brought to you by the Century Council.
WMAL's Vince Colonnades, weekdays at noon on 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
A few years ago, when I talked about oligarchy, people were saying, "Oh, what is Bernie talking about?" Well, Donald Trump has made it very clear what we are talking about when we talk about oligarchy. Oligarchy is a president who, when he gets inaugurated, he doesn't hide it. Right behind him are the three wealthiest people in America, Musk, Bezos, and Zuckerberg.
How dare we have successful people? You know, it's almost so much better when we have people that are losers, that have never accomplished anything in life, that really get involved in running the finances of the country. Don't you think? I mean, that works out there. It's an oligarchy. It's bad. And you still have Bernie Sanders, who has a summer camp. Remember, Bernie Sanders, he's got 3 houses, that burn. Good socialist that he is. He hasn't redistributed the other 2. And one of my favorite thing is that his so-called summer camp is somewhere here in my home state of Florida. I'm not exactly sure where, but I'm sure there are some homeless people, for example, that could certainly make use of his summer camp, since he's not often at his summer camp. Just a little food for thought for the burn. But nevertheless, as we take a look at Trump's Great Reset. So what he's been working on is the reset button on everything. All of the DEI crap, numerous executive orders he signed to make that stuff go away. But trade and all the world economic nonsense. So I shared yesterday, literally every country in the world was imposing tariffs on us. There are 195 countries in the world. 197 entities imposed tariffs on us. That's because 2 unaffiliated territories did too. Literally, we couldn't send a product outside of the United States without it being marked up with tariffs. Trade had been anything but fair. And we had very little in terms of tariffs out there. Like how we ranked in terms of tariffs, even with Trump had on preceding Liberation Day, we ranked 150 out of 195 in terms of tariffs that have been imposed in the world. And so that's why it shouldn't have come as any kind of a surprise that Trump did what he did. I was just amazed that people were so surprised by his Liberation Day announcement, by all of the trade related announcements. And he did have on February 13th his fair and reciprocal plan that he put out there. And when he released that, he said this, and by the way, his document's still up there on the White House website, said, "Gone are the days of America being taken advantage of. This plan will put the American worker first, improve our competitiveness in every area of industry, reduce our trade deficit, bolster our economic and national security. The United States is one of the most open economies in the world, yet our trading partners keep their markets closed to our exports." That's important. It's not just that they do tariffs, it's that they make it so punitive, they basically just lock us out. This lack of reciprocity is unfair and contributes to our large and persistent annual trade deficit. So what we saw, right, is that the Liberation Day plan, he laid it out there, and then, quickly thereafter, capped for 90 days, pretty much everything at 10%, except for China, where we're still at 145, really putting the heat on China. And what we have seen, as we are now a month removed from Liberation Day, is a plan that is starting to come together. The Great Trade Reset is well underway as countries are coming to the table to negotiate in a way they never have before. Dive into that piece next. Very much. And for the great one,
Mark Levin. You heard the news. Newsmax just went public on the New York Stock Exchange and listed on the big board. Millions of Americans like you are joining our news revolution. Reuters Institute says Newsmax is one of the top 12 news brands in America. Even President Trump says it's terrific. 40 million Americans go to Newsmax, and its audience grew 50% since the same time last year. Millions really are making the switch to Newsmax. If you want to be a Newsmax share owner, call your advisor or get more info at newsmaxinvest.com. Stand with Newsmax today for a strong America. This communication is for informational purposes only and shall not be intended to or shall not constitute any offer to buy or sell securities, nor shall there be any sale of securities in any jurisdiction in which such offer, solicitation, or sale would.
Why do people like Tiffany come here when she claims everyone hates her or she has haters?
Demonstrations asking the Supreme Court to allow DOJ to access Social Security systems containing personal data on millions of Americans. The emergency appeal filed today comes after a Maryland judge restricted the team's access under federal privacy laws. The government argues that the judge's restrictions disrupt DOJ's urgent work. The lawsuit was originally filed by a group of labor unions and retirees. New this hour, 5 illegal immigrants in MS-13 and another gang member imprisoned at Wallens Ridge State Prison in Big Stone Gap, Virginia, stabbed 3 corrections officers this morning. The Virginia Department of Corrections says it was a premeditated attack. 5 officers were hospitalized, including 2 who were injured responding to the attack. 3 have been discharged. 2 others remain hospitalized. Traffic and weather next.
A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
Dry January and sober October. They are 2 months of the year when a lot of people try and go without alcohol. But for anyone out there who needs to hear this, you obviously don't have to wait for either of those months to give it a go. Maybe you try around your birthday, or maybe today. I'm not saying everyone needs to cut out alcohol entirely, but just about all of us would benefit from cutting back. And you can do that by setting SMART goals, meaning be specific with your plan, make it measurable. How many drinks are you going to cut? You want your goal to be achievable. Don't jam your calendar with social events where it's going to be more difficult to avoid alcohol. Make your goal relevant. How will not drinking make your life better? Finally, your goal should be time-based, meaning how long are you going to do it for? You can always build on your success. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Imagine the hospital experience. There's a constant parade of serious doctors, countless tests, and a serious diagnosis. Scary surgeries are followed by painful recoveries. You're in the hospital for days, weeks, months. Now imagine you're a child. This is why Starlight exists. Starlight programs help kids in the hospital cope, build resilience, bolster confidence, and change their outlook. Because happiness matters. Visit starlight.org to learn more.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ball in street? Girl in street!
It's hard to concentrate on 2 things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Vince Colonnese, host of The Vince Show and Vince Podcast. It's a show with an obsessive focus on what's good for America. I'll give you the truth beneath the headlines of all of the nation's top stories. The Vince Show is redefining news talk with in-depth interviews, live caller interactions, and a front row seat to the most important conversations of the day, every day. The Vince Show and Vince Podcast.
WMAL's Vince Colonnese, weekdays at noon. News Talk 105.9. WMAL, making sense of the news.
We're with Bridget, whose husband won't be home for months and whose daughter is due any day. We're with all service members and their families. Are you with them? Learn more at uso.org today.
Making sense of your world.
Thank you for your clear insight.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
This is a major wake-up call.
Making sense of the news. WMAL. Making sense of education. Because what's happening in your kid's school matters. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free. The voice of reason in a sea of lunacy. Mark Levin. Dial in now. 877-381-3811.
Well, I think everybody understands that at this point, we've got an authoritarian in office. He's essentially tearing apart the things that really matter to working families across the United States, and nobody's stopping him. And the Congress is under the control of his party. They're all paying homage to him at all times. No one's willing to break with him, even though they're taking away health care from millions of people across the United States and threatening Social Security.
Yeah, taking away health care from all these people and everything else. Oh, my gosh. So there's one of maybe the favorite billionaire this side of George Soros among Democrats, Governor Pritzker right there. And, you can take a look at Pritzker, and there is so much in such a short little window. The authoritarian, I do enjoy this. I do enjoy the authority. Yes. How dare he use executive authority? I mean, it's completely cool. Like when I, as a governor, say, you don't get to go to work. You don't even get to operate your own business. You just put your mask on and sit there in the corner. Actually, why don't you put on a few more masks, just sit there in the corner and rot for, I don't know, year, 2 years in the name of a virus? No, but Trump is the authoritarian. Pritzker sucked that bad that I will literally order people to shut their businesses and not to work. But the authoritarian here is Trump. These people can't get out of their own way. But there is so much there. And I'm going to get into some of the budget stuff here in the second hour, because the BBB, you down with the BBB? I think Mr. Producer's down with the BBB. Or is it the BBD or whatever Trump wants to call it now? Because he did call it the Big Beautiful Deal at one point. And then also early in the week, the Big Beautiful New Deal. So maybe it's going to be the BBND by the time it's done. But whatever, I'll be down with it, provided that it's what the framework is. Trump coming out with his budget proposal today. It's all a formal part of the process. But the big thing here, just to address the points made by the lunatic governor, is so you hear people being put out of healthcare. Okay. Do you believe that is, if somebody is of working age and is able to work, that they should work? I mean, because that ultimately is the question there. Yeah. So what you're talking about, and this is amazing. I kind of pulled my research on this again, because you have of the people that are on Medicaid, a small percentage that are not able-bodied and that could work, that could get off of Medicaid, but don't. So if somebody chooses not to work, not ordered out of being able to work, like the good governor of Illinois, but actually could work, but they choose not to, and then they want to just sit there and suck on the government teat, should we allow them to do it? And is that taking healthcare away from them if we say, no, you've actually got to work? You've actually got to do something here. Put in the work requirement, by the way, for Medicaid used to be in there. It was taken away only in recent years. Try harder, fail better, all those different things. They're counting you being stupid. I just can't imagine being as miserable as those people actually are. Hey there, Brian Mudd in for Mark Levin. You can catch me socially at Brian Mudd Radio. You can catch my show, The Brian Mudd Show podcast, wherever you get your podcast. And a couple programming notes. The great one, he's going to be back with you tomorrow night. He's back from Israel tomorrow. And Life, Liberty, and Levin. 8 p.m. Eastern, Fox. You got John Yo and Robert Greenway. They'll be joining him tomorrow. And then Sunday, another all-new Life, Liberty, Levin. Same channel, same time. You've got Adam Sohn and Newt Gingrich. So you can catch double dose of Life, Liberty, and Levin this weekend. And then, of course, the great one back with you on Monday, right here on his particular radio show. All right, as we're diving into Trump's Great Reset. So the whole tariff thing for a moment. All right, so the Liberation Day tariffs settled out at 10% across the board and then ended up at 145% for China because Trump is really trying to do, as he might say, he's really trying to do a number there. He really is trying to meaningfully get to where we need to get to with China. It's not going to be an easy thing to do. Now, in terms of the trade imbalance around the world, there are only 5 countries we have a trade surplus with. There are a lot where realistically, there's just not going to be much of a market for us to sell a lot of our things. And that creates a different environment. That's why all these deals are going to be different. You know, some people have said, well, why is it that if a country like, Vietnam came out right away and they said, we'll go to zero. Why doesn't the U.S. go to zero too? Well, because how much U.S. stuff is Vietnam going to buy versus, how much, clothing are we going to be bringing in, or all these various different things, right? And so that's where you have to expert in the grand scheme of things, from a macroeconomic standpoint. That's certainly not what you're worried about when you're going to work every day and looking to take care of your family. But to paint the picture, prior to Trump's Liberation Day announcements, how high do you think he would have had to have raised the average tariff charged to a country? Just if we averaged out all the tariffs to make them reciprocal, what would that look like? Do you have any idea? If Trump did an across-the-board tariff at a flat rate that equaled what the rest of the world on balance charges us, what would that number be? If you said 73%, you win. No joke. That is how absurd our trade situation has been. That's why we're locked out. Some products are ridiculous because a lot of times countries will say, hey, in this product category, it's 50%. In this product category, it's 3,000%. I mean, not really, but it'll be hundreds of percent because they just want to lock us out in these product categories. And so that is why so many American companies can't sell stuff around the world. We're locked out. And then because the double whammy, because from a manufacturing standpoint, if we can't manufacture and sell stuff to the rest of the world because they charge all these ridiculous tariffs, so they can only sell to Americans effectively, then you have all the coming in on the other side. We don't charge any tariffs, and so we get all this cheap crap from China, wherever else. How is an American manufacturer supposed to compete in that world? That's how things got set up this way over many decades. But if we were, because so many people said, well, it's not really reciprocal. I mean, Trump, he was going to really make it much worse. Bull crap. The average tariff rate charged to the United States across all product categories is 73 freaking percent. And we're only at 10. So, I mean, imagine the freak out factor. If he'd gone to 73, that would have been really reciprocal. So anyway, in the Great Reset, the United States is the second leading manufacturer in the world. We have the largest trade deficit in the world. Doesn't make any sense. We have the most leverage of anybody, yet we haven't used it. Doesn't make any sense. So then you take a look at the rest of this as well. So many of our American multinational companies getting in bed with the Davos crowd, the DEI crowd. So not only were our companies, running everything through China or wherever else, rather than making stuff here, but then they were also going to the global elites and getting with their Davos Great Reset agenda and pushing DEI policies through, right? So that was the other piece of all of this. It's intertwined in Trump's Great Reset to get rid of that nonsense too. So not only was it the case that, okay, some companies actually saw the election results last year, probably have had better ideas than keeping these DEI policies in place. It looks like a lot of Americans at this point, not necessarily with the homosexual alphabet people. So you had some that went ahead and canceled their homosexual alphabet agenda pretty quickly after Election Day. But others, through a series of executive orders that have been signed by Trump, and also in conjunction with these various different tariffs and the trade policies that are being negotiated. All in, you have had 60% at this point of corporate America that have rescinded DEI policies. 60%. Only 22% have DEI budgets that are on par or higher than they were this time a year ago. So the rolling back of DEI is on in a very big way. Now, when you take a look at so much of what's transpired here between trade, between DEI, then you start taking a look at companies like, Apple, for example. They ended up getting involved with both. And so Apple, one of the companies that is still sticking with DEI, levered to China in a very big way. One of the companies that is most negatively impacted. They are moving all their production at this point for the iPhone over to India to try to avoid a lot of these things. And if you take a look at a lot of the companies and the way they have performed, it hasn't gone as well for them. And so what you are seeing is that there are going to be winners and losers as Trump's Great Reset continues to shake out. Those who prioritize in their businesses sustainability and their constituency, you, me, are going to be winners in this shift. The American sellouts, they're going to be left scrambling, along with their homosexual alphabet people and trying to figure out what to do. And so what's happened over this month is that a lot of that sorting out process has taken place.
Congratulations.
And so
Charlie.
here we are right now at this moment where people have been able to figure out, hey, Trump's got a handle on this. Some of the really big news that started to emerge in this whole reset process was when China started to say uncle yesterday. And word is, even the Wall Street Journal is reporting at this point, they want to negotiate with the United States. And once you get that piece that falls into place, you're going to see all of this end up settling out in a very big way for you and me. Because not only are we going to end up having trade deals that are better than they've ever been in this country, but the net effect of this is going to be budget friendly. We're trying to figure out how is it that we can pay for the BBB? How is it that we can accomplish Trump's agenda and get all the things that he needs to get done, like the deportations, our border policies, our tax cuts, and not just making the Trump tax cuts permanent from the first time around, but doing things like no tax on tips and no tax on overtime, and maybe even more beyond that. This is part of how you get there. And you're going to very quickly, as Trump said in his speech at Bama last night, based on the speed with which these negotiations are going, see the whole Great Reset coming together in a very big way that will represent a huge win for you and me. And importantly, overall for the U.S. economy. which is what the markets are already starting to reflect. Brian Mudd, in for the great one.
Mark Levin.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Get suckered into the same old free phone game by Big Wireless that comes with a lot of fine print, like requiring you to sign up for 4 lines plus activation fees. And the end of the day, you paid for that free phone 3 times over. Pure Talk is my sponsor, my wireless company. They have a much better offer with a qualifying plan of just $35 a month. You can get a brand new Samsung Galaxy A26 for free. All you need to do is switch to Pure Talk. For just $35 a month, you get unlimited talk, text, 15 gigs of data, more than you'll ever need, with mobile hotspot, all on one of America's most dependable 5G networks. Dial pound 250, say keyword Mark Levin, and Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team will help you switch in as little as 10 minutes. That's pound 250, say Mark Levin, for your free Samsung Galaxy with qualifying plan from Pure Talk. Wireless by Americans, for Americans.
The accident on 395 northbound between Axel Road and Duke Street clear, but traffic is still slow from the Beltway. Heading southbound at King Street, a disabled vehicle being moved to the right shoulder, but it is jammed from Washington Boulevard. In the district, you'll still find a closure of Connecticut Avenue between N Street and DuPont Circle in Northwest due to police investigation activity. And also an accident still in the district on South Dakota Avenue at 33rd Place in Northeast. All earlier incidents on the Beltway now clear, but it is still slow on the inner loop between Tysons and Bethesda, and the outer loop is slow from the sprinkled interchange to the Wilson Bridge. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Still Watch 7 forecast.
Tonight, isolated showers and thunderstorms, lows in the mid-60s to lower 70s. Tomorrow, scattered showers and thunderstorms, warm, highs around 85.
These days, when it comes to news, the World Wide Web is more like the Wild Wild West.
It makes you want to throw something, doesn't it?
So where can you go to make sense of your world online? Depend on WMAL.com. Get the day's top stories, stream your favorite WMAL shows, access our podcast archives, and more.
Awesome, hilarious, entertaining, educational.
For a local news source you can trust, visit WMAL.com. Making sense of your world online. Making sense of the border.
Homeland security is right there at the tippy top of American concerns.
WMAL's Vince Colonnese, weekdays at noon.
You've got to be tough.
News Talk 105.9, WMAL, making sense of the news.
75 years of research, 75 years of policy,
75 years of opportunity,
75 years of freedom.
This is 75 years of the Muscular Dystrophy Association. Join us at MDA75.org.
Former MLB All-Star Sean Casey, a.k.a. The Mayor, keeps hitting it out of the park.
Take my 30 years of experience. Take the wisdom and knowledge I've learned from the failures when I got sent down my rookie year, all the injuries I had to overcome. Your mind is the most important tool you have in life. Be relentless. Keep charging. It matters how you talk to yourself, how you look at the world. That matters. We talk about that. I don't know. I'm fired up. Baseball's back, and it's going to be incredible. I love it.
The Mayor's Office with Sean Casey from Believe. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Making sense of the media.
The news media is attacking him because this is what happens when you're a Republican.
Chris Plant, weekdays 9 to noon.
Yeah, our news media, really.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
This is my new best friend, Esther. She might look like any normal, playful puppy, but Esther's being raised to become a canine companions for independence assistance dog for a person with a disability. To get there, she needs lots of loving care and attention, plenty of exercise, and good eating habits so that she can live a long and healthy life for her future family. Visit cci.org or call 1-800-572-BARK. Raise a puppy, change a life. You can make a world of difference in the life of a person with a disability.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/life. That's ethos.com/life. Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. Call 800-809-7171. 800-809-7171.
Paid for by Wesley Financial Group. Making sense of your world.
Thanks for taking my call.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Greatly appreciated.
Making sense of the news. Chris Plant, weekdays 9 to noon on 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news.
Yeah, Brian Bud in for the great one. And by the way, I have breaking news, breaking Trump-related news. He now has the road to his house that is soon going to be named after him. There is, leading up to Mar-a-Lago, you have Southern Boulevard from West Palm Beach that runs into Palm Beach, and then ultimately up to South Ocean Boulevard to Mar-a-Lago. And that 4-mile stretch of road that you may often see when you have coverage of the president going to his home at Mar-a-Lago. They'll be lined with people and everything else. That is going to be named President Donald J. Trump Boulevard. That just passed in Florida state legislative session. It heads to Governor DeSantis's desk. He most certainly will sign that into law. All right, wanted to get to Todd. Todd's at the Village. The Village is America's friendliest hometown. Now, we never did find out if that really was Biden, that video from way back when he was running his beat for Biden or for Obama the first time around. I got family in the Villages. Todd wanted to respond to something I mentioned about Medicaid. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I'm just kind of curious, as someone who lives in Florida, how much money of our tax dollars did we waste on those signs? And furthermore, how much money did we waste on the sign saying Gulf of America? But I digress. My point is, I'm sitting here with my 81-year-old mother. You're in a lovely nursing facility here in the Villages. My dad is at home, who just got out of the Leesburg Hospital today, and someone who is, doing double duty, taking care of both elderly parents. And
get to it real quickly here.
Well, the point is, I can't work. I don't get Medicaid. I don't get any medical benefits from the government. And you make it sound like those people who are on Medicaid simply aren't working because they're lazy. And I'd like
actually, I know there are plenty of people that are lazy, and damn straight. If somebody is lazy and they're collecting Medicaid, I don't want them to. If somebody legitimately needs help and they're less cynical and sarcastic than you, we do a lot of help, especially in the state of Florida. In fact, the governor, the first lady, they help families just like yours with a program called Hope Florida. We have all kinds of amazing nonprofits in the state. So, yeah, we have a lot of avenues, and I believe in helping people. And I have a feeling that there are plenty of people that are willing to assist with a situation like yours. But as for Medicaid, only 44% of able-bodied adult Medicaid recipients are working full-time. 56% on Medicaid right now are not working full-time. I don't have any tolerance for that. I do think the people that could be working full-time and choose not to should be cut off. I do think we can save about $800 billion doing that, and I think it's going to get done.
You're making sense of your world.
I don't know where to begin.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Thanks for taking my call.
Making sense of the news.
Former MLB All-Star Sean Casey, aka the Mayor, keeps hitting it out of the park.
Take my 30 years of experience. Take the wisdom and knowledge I've learned from the failures when I got sent down my rookie year, all the injuries I had to overcome. Your mind is the most important tool you have in life. Be relentless. Keep charging. It matters how you talk to yourself, how you look at the world. That matters. We talk about that. I don't know. I'm fired up. Baseball's back, and it's going to be incredible. I love it.
The Mayor's Office with Sean Casey from Believe. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Ever wonder why your business doesn't show up on online search maps, but your competitors do? It's hundreds of things. Things that Cumulus Boost can identify and fix. And that's how we boost your findability. CumulusBoost.com. CUMULUS Boost.com.
Making sense of the border.
Homeland security is right there at the tippy top of American concerns.
WMAL's Vince Colonnese, weekdays at noon.
You've got to be tough.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news. Making sense of your world on the go. Stream your favorite shows, get the day's top headlines, and access our podcast archives, all with the new WMAL app.
This is for you.
Get the WMAL app on Google Play or the Apple App Store and stay connected. For a local news source you can trust, visit WMAL.com.
Thank God for that.
Get the day's top stories, stream your favorite WMAL shows, access our podcast archives, and more. WMAL.com, making sense of your world online. Around the clock updates and uncommon understanding.
Listen to this, because this stuff is going on behind the scenes and you don't know about it.
News Talk 105.9. Making sense of the news. Making sense of your world.
Common sense. Let's get back to common sense.
WMAL's Vince Colonnese, weekdays at noon.
Now that should give you a lot of cause for hope.
News Talk 105.9. WMAL, making sense of the news. WMAL FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now.
WMAL News at 7. I'm Heather Curtis. We're learning more about an officer-involved shooting in DuPont Circle this afternoon.
The Metro Transit Police are investigating a shooting involving one of their officers. Now, the officer was working the beat at DuPont Circle Metro Station when they were alerted to a robbery at that jewelry store right beside the station. Now, the Metro Transit officer then confronted the suspects outside, shooting a female suspect in the leg. A man was also taken into custody. Police also say they recovered a weapon at the scene. The officer involved in that shooting was not hurt. In Northwest D.C., Carl Willis, 7 News.
The rate of violent crime has been dropping in D.C. for the past year and a half, but results are even more impressive up the road in Baltimore.
Baltimore is quickly losing its reputation as one of the worst crime cities in America. The city's murder rate down 32% compared to this time last year, and April hit an all-time low. 5 homicides the entire month. The lowest monthly total in 65 years of record keeping. This news comes just days after the city dropped from U.S. News and World Report's most dangerous places list. Mayor Brandon Scott responded to that last week.
This is progress, but we still have more work to do.
D.C.'s murder rate down 13%, violent crime overall off 24%. John Matthews on WMAL and WMAL.com.
President Trump's asking Congress to slash spending and crack down on social and climate programs in his FY26 budget proposal.
President Trump's first budget of his second term asked Congress to cut more than $163 billion in non-defense spending next year. Many of the cuts reflected in the budget blueprint have already been identified by the president's Department of Government Efficiency. Presidents are required by law to send budgets to Congress, though they are seen mostly as a list of priorities for the president. Republican lawmakers are working on a broad reconciliation bill, the so-called One Big Beautiful Bill. Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Maryland Governor Wes Moore calls the proposal fiscal sabotage, saying it would kill jobs, hollow out health care and public education, and accelerate the, quote, reckless assault on Maryland's economy. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser is urging Congress against proposed Medicaid cuts that could affect many more people than just district beneficiaries.
People with private health insurance, everybody, including people in D.C., in Maryland, and Virginia.
The federal contribution is 70% based on D.C. being different financially.
Unlike every other state, we have unique restrictions on how we raise revenue.
The proposal could drop that to a 50-50 split and lead to more than $2 billion in lost funding and devastation for area health care. Bowser's advice, stand up and be heard.
This is a real threat to their lives, their health care, and the healthcare system.
Scotland on WMAL and WMAL.com.
After meeting with House Speaker Mike Johnson yesterday about proposed Medicaid cuts, President Trump vowed
we will be saving Medicaid and strengthening it.
He claims Democrats want to destroy it. Democrats say Republicans are the ones who want to do that. Early voting started today in Virginia for the June 17th primary. 7 News' Melanie Hastings.
Voters will decide who will be on the ballot in November in local races, along with some high-profile state races. The deadline to register to vote is May 27th. Early in-person voting runs through June 14th.
Up next, traffic and weather on WMAL.
Hey,
If you have ugly yellow toe fungus, you got to hear about the secret 2-minute trick that I found for my husband. It works from both the inside and the outside. Thousands of people are using it to get rid of their toe fungus. You can check it out at crystalflush.com. Jake started off with a small spot on his big toe, and then it spread and got really bad. His toes were nasty. It was so embarrassing. He was afraid to take his socks off. He hid his yellow and crumbly toes from everyone. He tried everything to get rid of it. Nothing helped. And then we found crystalflush.com. It was the only thing that worked. In just a few weeks, his toes looked amazing. He's now walking around barefoot again. You guys need to try this. I'm telling you, this stuff is different. It's not sold in stores, but go check it out at crystalflush.com. They'll even let you try it risk-free, so you have nothing to lose. But whatever you do, don't let it get worse. You don't have to live with this anymore. Go check it out now. Just click over to crystalflush.com.
Making sense of your world on the go. Screen your favorite shows, get the day's top headlines, and access our podcast archives, all with the new WMAL app. This is for you. Get the WMAL app on Google Play or the Apple App Store and stay connected.
Here's Michelle Murray in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
In the district, a portion of Connecticut Avenue remains closed this evening between DuPont Circle and N Street due to police investigation activity. All earlier incidents on the Beltway now cleared away, but it is still slow on the inner loop from 123 to the spur. More delays through Bethesda and Landover. And looks like the outer loop is still slow from Van Dorn Street to the Wilson Bridge. All earlier incidents on 395 clear, but it is still slow northbound from 110 to the 14th Street Bridge. And 95, still some delays from Newington in towards Woodbridge. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Tonight, we drop to the mid-60s to lower 70s with isolated showers and storms. Better chance for stronger storms Saturday afternoon and evening. 80 to 85 degrees. Wet weather continues Sunday and Monday. I'm 7 News meteorologist Steve Rudin in the First Alert Weather Center.
Right now, 82 degrees in Newington, 84 in Bladensburg, and 84 degrees under partly cloudy skies here in Washington. I'm Heather Curtis on News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Starlight Children's Foundation brightens the lives of sick kids like my son Finn, who was born with congenital heart disease. Learn more about Starlight by visiting starlight.org today.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. Mark Levin.
Casting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
We were bracing for a slowdown in the jobs market. We did not get that. We got steady hiring. This jobs market is just relentless. Let me run you through the key numbers. Yeah, let's do it. 177,000 jobs were added in the month of April. That easily beat forecasts for 135,000. So not even close there. The unemployment rate stayed low. It stayed at 4.2%. When we look at where the jobs are right now, we're seeing solid gains in a number of places.
Shut the front door. Hold on. But we the people of transitory inflation of 2021, Bidenflation, that told us transitory, and also told us, less than a month ago, and especially a month ago today, Liberation Day, April 2nd, that the sky was falling. I am shocking that during the month that everything was supposed to hit the fan because Trump. What? Job growth came in higher than expected? But the job market is relentless. CNN's Matt Egan with that particular report. And in astonishment, in surprise. I mean, it almost is so bad that, like, if you grab your average economist and you go the other direction, you're going to be right more often than not. I mean, you can take like 3 economists out there and they're worth the darn. Stephen Moore, by the way, is the one that I would take above all the others. Brian Mudd in for the great one, Mark Levin. He is still in Israel, back tomorrow. He'll be back tomorrow doing Life, Liberty, and Levin all weekend. Talking about, in the first hour, Trump's great reset. How really his first 100 days, when you kind of boil it down to brass tacks. We talked extensively about the border on Tuesday, covered that top to bottom. Obviously about fixing the border and dealing with the immigration crisis. But when it came to the economy, a great reset on all of it that would reset the cultural aspects that have been thrown into our society by corporate America, thrown in our face every time you watch an ad on TV, where you'd have all these homosexual alphabet people, just and DEI and it up everywhere. And it's going to be interesting to see when we get next month, June. They try to throw all that gay stuff in your face again. I bet it's toned down quite a bit this year. And then you take a look at the trade policy. And here we are ending this week, the week of Trump's 100 days, a month removed from the tariff policy, from the Liberation Day, with the S&P 500 trading higher than it was prior to those tariff announcements, with the S&P 500 on the best winning streak it has been on in over 20 years. And China now coming to basically begging the United States to work on a trade deal with them, because earlier in the week, Trump said, we're working on trade deals with our 17 of the 18 largest trade partners. We're putting China to the side. We're putting China to the side. And they're like, please don't put us to the side. We want in on this too. So the trade deals are coming together in real time. But as we take a look at where we are, the first 100 days, without a doubt, the most productive of any president in modern history. Won't go back through all that stuff yet again. But it's actually the next 100 days that are going to define the Trump presidency. These are the most important days coming up. Now, you take a look at two very specific situations here. It's within these next 97 days that the effects of President Trump's executive agenda expressed through executive orders are largely going to be felt. And it's also within this window of time, we're going to really see the outcome of his legislative agenda and whether that's intact. So on Tuesday, as President Trump was set to board Air Force One, when he was en route to Michigan, he said, we've done everything or it's in the process of being done. And I mean, when you look at the historic pace of President Trump's executive orders, with an average of over one per day, you see that's the case. When you put it in perspective, by the way, President Trump has already taken more executive action in the first 102 days of his second term than either of the two most recent two-term presidents, Obama and Bush. He's already been more active than either of them in their final 4 years in office. And this is all due to Trump having learned the lessons, all the lessons that he could have learned from his first term, having been through everything he was put through in his first term. And then having had, I mean, one of the biggest mistakes the Democrats are going to take a look at, they would have been better off if Trump had remained president. I mean, not only are they going to regret Biden for any number of reasons, but Democrats, by the time Trump is done doing what he's done here, are really going to wish that Trump had not had 4 years to just sit there and work on getting his agenda together. You know, they're like, oh, he's a dictator and oligarchy. And all. Now, the man he's been president. He knows how all the BS in the courts will play out, what the left will try to do to its agenda that way. He knows how feckless Congress often is and what he needs to do to position them to actually have success. He knows how to handle the trade situation on the world stage. And so he had 4 years to sit there and get all this together. And no time like the present to go ahead and get it all in there. And so he's not kidding when he said, we've either done it all or it's all in motion right now, because it actually is. He is packing 4 years worth of action into 4 months here. So we see the outcomes in these next 100 days, these now next 70, 97 days or so. And by the time it's done, you're going to have a pretty good idea about America truly being made great again. You're not going to have to wait 4 years. This is going to play out a lot more quickly than most people think. So, Trump immediately putting it all on the line lets it all happen at about the same time here. Now, in true terms of the impacts of tariffs, what will become of the ensuing trade deals are playing out, and they will play out in real time. A lot of people are like, well, what's going to happen with those 90 days once he's getting this stuff done? You're going to have to worry about the whole 90-day pause thing and what's he going to do at that point. The deals are coming to get. Other countries are far more stressed by this situation than we are. We, again, have leverage. It's also true in terms of the president's Supreme Court rulings and his use of executive authority, the abuse by federal judges to try to usurp his executive authority. To date, the Supreme Court already issued 9 rulings on emergency applications involving Trump's executive authority. Put that in perspective, they stepped in only 8 times during the 16 years of George W. Bush's presidency and Obama. So they've already been more active in Trump's first 4 months in terms of getting involved because of the record amount of lawsuits that have been filed at Trump. So the Supreme Court is on the game here. And May 15th, Supreme Court hears arguments over the president's challenge to birthright citizenship, but also within that case, which was consolidated from 3 in that one hearing, the Supremes, they're going to determine whether federal judges have the authority to issue nationwide injunctions against the president. That is huge. It's a landmark case. It's going to be decided before the end of the court's term in June. And it's over the course of those 97 days that you're going to have the greater than 220 existing legal challenges brought against the Trump administration that come to fruition. A lot of those probably decided with the Supreme Court's ruling. A lot of that stuff will probably just go away. But of course, you have so many of these lawsuits that just continue to come, like literally an average of 2 per day from the AACLU, the Anti-American Civil Liberties Union and others. And so it's during this next window of time that the judicial outlook for Trump's agenda also is largely going to be defined. And then it's also in that window of time that the single most important aspect of the Trump agenda will almost certainly be decided. And that is the fate of the BBB. The BBB is just about everything in the long run. And one of the most common questions that I get from people, like, okay, the executive orders are nice, but what happens when he's gone? That's right. And so getting policy passed, permanent policy in place, is critical. It is the single most important thing. The most important thing isn't the border. It's not combating illegal immigration specifically. The most important thing, not the trade deals that President Trump makes. The most important thing, also not on taxes, the economy generally, not national defense even, not education. And that's because the most important thing is actually all of those things. It's actually all of those things. And all of those things in the entirety of the Trump agenda are wrapped up in what will be the BBB. That is the legislation that will decide if Trump's agenda is ratified and if it's funded. And so the BBB is now the single most important thing, along with those other 2 very big considerations that it's talking about the onset here. And then you take a look at how is this looking? How is it looking? It is highly encouraging on all fronts. There is really good news on all fronts. This week, President Trump secured the Ukrainian deal that had originally been sought when Zelensky came to D.C. As part of the deal, all future U.S. aid to Ukraine will be repaid with minerals and natural resources the U.S. needs, and all tariff-free. That to me, and like nobody's talking about this, by the way. I mean, the grand scheme of the kind of a big deal. Think about this. All we have ever done with Ukraine and insert country here, we just throw money at them. We just throw hundreds of billions of dollars at them, completely unaccountable. We have trillions of dollars of debt we continue to take on, but here are just hundreds of billions of dollars, no strings attached. Lord knows how much has gone into pockets of corrupt actors in and around Ukraine. Zelensky can't tell you where the money's gone. Now, any aid to the Ukraine is repaid with minerals and natural resources we need, and all tariff-free. That is massive, right? And that gives you a flavor of where these trade deals are going. I'll pick up there next. Brian Mudd in for the great one.
Mud Labin. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Economics, the great works of literature, the meaning of the U.S. Constitution. Did you study these things in school? Probably not. Or even if you did, maybe it's time for a refresher. Hillsdale College is offering more than 40 free online courses. Learn about the works of C.S. Lewis, the stories in the book of Genesis, or the history of the ancient Christian church with Hillsdale College's free online courses. I'm personally enjoying Hillsdale's course, The Second World Wars, taught by Victor Davis Hanson and Hillsdale's president, Larry P. Arnn. Doesn't get any better than that. This free 7-lecture course will give you a clear picture of why the war was fought, how the Allied powers ultimately triumphed in order to save the West from a new form of tyranny. The course is self-paced, so you can start whenever you want. Go right now to levinforhillsdale.com to enroll. That's LEVIN for Hillsdale.com. No cost. It's easy to get started. That's levinforhillsdale.com to register for free. LEVIN for Hillsdale.com.
Hey, if you have ugly yellow toe fungus, you got to hear about the secret 2-minute trick that I found for my husband. It works from both the inside and the outside. Thousands of people are using it to get rid of their toe fungus. You can check it out at crystalflesh.com. Jake started off with a small spot on his big toe, and then it spread and got really bad. His toes were nasty. It was so embarrassing. He was afraid to take his socks off. He hid his yellow and crumbly toes from everyone. He tried everything to get rid of it. Nothing helped. And then we found crystalflesh.com. It was the only thing that worked. In just a few weeks, his toes looked amazing. He's now walking around barefoot again. You guys need to try this. I'm telling you, this stuff is different. It's not sold in stores, but go check it out at crystalflesh.com. They'll even let you try it risk-free, so you have nothing to lose. But whatever you do, don't let it get worse. You don't have to live with this anymore. Go check it out now. Just click over to crystalflesh.com.
Imagine the hospital experience. There's a constant parade of serious doctors, countless tests, and a serious diagnosis. Scary surgeries are followed by painful recoveries. You're in the hospital for days, weeks, months. Now imagine you're a child. This is why Starlight exists. Starlight programs help kids in the hospital cope, build resilience, bolster confidence, and change their outlook, because happiness matters. Visit starlight.org to learn more.
Hey, I'm Reba McEntire. In life, you'll hear a lot of people tell you that you can do anything you want. I'm here to tell you that's true. Since I was a little girl, I dreamed of becoming a successful singer and entertainer. It took a lot of hard work, dedication, and perseverance to find my success, but it was worth it. I never gave up on my dreams. Remember, you can never have a dream come true until you've had a dream. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
Illuminating the issues.
There's a whole lot missing here in this story, isn't there?
Every day.
Why are we the only ones reporting this?
News Talk 105.9. Making sense of the news.
We're the stronger than we look type.
I've had type 1 diabetes since I was 2.
The braver than you think type.
I have to take insulin shots every single day.
The type that will stop at nothing.
No more blood sugar tests.
Absolutely nothing.
No more complications.
Until type 1 becomes type none.
Support JDRF's life-changing research, and one day you'll say, I helped turn type 1 into type none. Join us now at jdrf.org.
For a local news source you can trust, visit WMAL.com.
Thank God for that.
Get the day's top stories. Stream your favorite WMAL shows. Access our podcast archives and more. WMAL.com. Making sense of your world online.
In times like these, savvy Americans are doing something the mainstream media won't talk about. They're diversifying with physical gold. Gold has stood the test of time, not for decades, but for thousands of years. It's a real asset, not a promise on paper. Doesn't get wiped out when markets crash, jump up and down like a roller coaster. Adding gold to your retirement portfolio is one of the most powerful ways to help protect your savings. And Advantage Gold is the company I trust to help you do it the right way. They'll show you how to legally move your IRA or 401k into physical gold and silver with no gimmicks, just solid protection and peace of mind. So call them right now, 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. It's never too late to make your portfolio stronger, smarter, and more secure. That's 800-900-8000. Protect what you've earned with something you can hold in your hand and trust in your heart. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional.
Making sense of your world.
There are a lot of things that really tick me off.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news. WMAL, making sense of the forecast. Because you never know what Mother Nature has in store. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
At the end of the day, we will defeat these people by winning elections. I mean, even if we win every court case, we still have to figure out how to get that enforced. Even if the press does lots of exposés, you're dealing with an administration that has no shame. They don't care that they are, being seen as corrupt or cruel or whatever. That is kind of the brand.
There you go. It's kind of the brand. Remember the 80s commercials with the frying pan and this is your brain on drugs, the eggs. I'm a product of the 80s. That was effective. I've never been wired towards that kind of stuff, but that was effective. I don't think I'm going to travel down the path of drugs. Don't want my brain to end up like some eggs in a frying pan. I kind of feel like we should wheel out to college campuses and maybe get Charlie Kirk on this. You wheel out Hillary footage and it's like, this is your life as a liberal. Any questions? You don't want to be this person. If you live your life being miserable and just living in the place that she lives and that they live, they end up like that, right? I mean, take a look at the burn, take a look at Hillary. It doesn't age well. And I've always had the hate doesn't age well, right? So talking about the most important 100 days of the Trump presidency are the ones we're in right now, not actually the first 100 days, because that's when he put everything into motion. It's the current 100 days that we're now in where all that is going to be decided. And so this is go time. And what are the outlooks at this point for the whole Trump agenda? Well, I mentioned that we see a lot of encouraging activity on all fronts. The Ukraine deal that was struck earlier this week is a phenomenal deal. And it also provides a roadmap for all other countries that want just freebies from the United States. You want something from us? Okay. What is it that you're going to give us to repay us? If it's not cash, what is it? If it's in the case of Ukraine, you have minerals and natural resources we could use. We'll take those in return. So that is the roadmap. If you take a look at the finishing touches that are being put on the trade deal with India, the current structure of the trade deal with India will be to reduce or remove tariffs on U.S. imports that will be sufficient to effectively eliminate our $45 billion annual trade deficit with them. That's huge. That's huge. You know what that's like? That is like a $45 billion annualized tax cut to the United States that we had to do nothing to achieve other than Donald Trump just negotiating. Think about if he does nothing, doesn't happen. The current structure right now eliminates our trade deficit with India and works like a $45 billion tax cut to you and me. That is part of the roadmap. That is where this is going. So as you hear, we also have ongoing negotiations with a total of 17 of our top 18 trade partners. It gives you an idea. And it also tells you what the roadmap is going to be. Then the word that I mentioned, China, is actively, and at this point, somewhat desperately reaching out to us because they are getting crushed by this. China's not only getting crushed because, You don't have companies that are wanting to order stuff with the 145% tariff on Chinese crap right now, but also getting crushed because, yes, Apple, among other companies, moving all their production out of China. I mean, that's a permanent loss already for China, losing 100% of the iPhone production. So all of that aspect of his agenda is starting to come together. But that's not all, because we've got the rest of it, and including the update and the details on that BBB, which is starting to look like a beautiful thing. Pick up there next, Brian Mudd in for the great one, Mark Levin.
You heard the news. Newsmax just went public on the New York Stock Exchange and listed on the big board. Millions of Americans like you are joining our news revolution. Reuters Institute says Newsmax is one of the top 12 news brands in America. Even President Trump says it's terrific. 40 million Americans go to Newsmax, and its audience grew 50% since the same time last year. Millions really are making the switch to Newsmax. If you want to be a Newsmax share owner, call your advisor or get more info at newsmaxinvest.com. Stand with Newsmax today for a strong America. This communication is for informational purposes only and shall not be intended to or shall not constitute any offer to buy or sell securities, nor shall there be any sale of securities in any jurisdiction in which such offer, solicitation, or sale would be unlawful.
This WMAL traffic update begins in northeast D.C. with word of an accident on 8th Street at K Street in the Quad. Word of a pedestrian reportedly being struck, causing for authorities and EMS to now be on the scene. East Potomac Parks Gap northbound traffic on 395 dealing with light jammed traffic. Traffic thinning out northbound between 14th Street as you approach the 3rd Street Tunnel. I'm Dr. Gavin Montgomery. Now, from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Storm Watch 7 forecast.
Tonight, isolated showers and thunderstorms, lows in the mid-60s to lower 70s. Tomorrow, scattered showers and thunderstorms, warm, highs around 85.
While serving in Iraq, our vehicle was hit. They didn't think I was going to make it. I'm Latoya Lucas, and I'm a veteran. I had to learn to live with the scars, both visible and invisible.
DAV helps veterans like Latoya get the benefits they've earned. They help more than 1 million veterans every year.
My victory is overcoming my wounds so I can help other veterans.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
I was choosing alcohol over my family. That's when I made the call. Now I'm finding better ways to cope.
Mental health care works when you make the call. Visit mentalhealthcareworks.org. A message from the American Psychiatric Association Foundation.
Making sense of the headlines, making sense of your world. WMAL's Vince Colonnades.
Thank you for all you do on the radio show.
What a nice call. Thank you very much.
Weekdays, noon to 3. News Talk 105.9. WMAL. Making sense of the news. Around the clock updates and uncommon understanding.
Listen to this, because this stuff is going on behind the scenes and you don't know about it.
News Talk 105.9. Making sense of the news. Making sense of your morning.
Lots of coverage here on that developing story.
O'Connor and Company. Weekday mornings from 5 to 9.
Larry O'Connor here getting you through your morning.
Making sense of Washington.
Asking some very specific questions, some legitimate questions.
Making sense of the double standard.
Then here's the latest example.
Making sense of the headlines.
So let me break it down for you, because there's plenty to break down here.
O'Connor and Company with Larry O'Connor. Mornings from 5 to 9. News Talk 105.9. WMAL. Making sense of the news.
My baby brother, a father. Come on, it's time for his nap. Whoa, he can't sleep on his stomach. Babies should always sleep on their backs in a safety-approved crib, and the sleep area should be clear of blankets, toys, and other loose or soft items. It reduces the risk of SIDS. SIDS? You know, sudden infant death syndrome. Guess I need to start studying up on safe sleep for little man here. Being his favorite uncle comes with big responsibilities.
For more information, visit safetosleep.nichd.nih.gov. Sponsored by the Eunice Kennedy Shriver National Institute of Child Health and Human Development.
Former MLB All-Star Sean Casey, aka the Mayor, keeps hitting it out of the park.
Take my 30 years of experience. Take the wisdom and knowledge I've learned from the failures when I got sent down my rookie year, all the injuries I had to overcome. Your mind is the most important tool you have in life. Be relentless. Keep charging. It matters how you talk to yourself, how you look at the world. That matters. We talk about that. I don't know. I'm fired up. Baseball's back, and it's going to be incredible. I love it.
The Mayor's Office with Sean Casey from Believe. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Every time I feel my baby kick, I sing. You don't understand. I never sing. I'm not good at singing. I'm the only person I know who's been booed off a karaoke stage. But that was before I was pregnant. Today, I'm a singer with a captive audience of one. She doesn't boo me. She never will. We know how it feels. We're the March of Dimes. Find out how we can help you have a healthier baby at marchofdimesbaby.org.
Making sense of your world.
Greatly appreciated.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
I love listening to you.
Making sense of the news. Breaking news and the inside story on 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news.
Mark Levin, mature, but a common liberal. Talk to Mark now at 877-381-3811.
When you talk about the economy, this is Joe Biden's economy, and we inherited $2 trillion of debt, the highest peacetime deficits in American history, a $1.2 trillion trade deficit, which fundamentally means we're not making enough of our own stuff. And the president came in and he said, this is not always going to be easy. It would have been very easy for Donald Trump to do what administrations past have done, which is borrow a lot of money and continue fueling the national debt. He said, no, we need a reset.
Vice President J.D. Vance yesterday on the economy. But again, things are turning in a positive direction very quickly, along with the president's agenda. Brian Mudd in for Mark Levin. You can catch me socially at Brian Mudd Radio. You can check out my podcast, The Brian Mudd Show, wherever you get your podcast. It is always an honor and a pleasure to be here with you. The great one, he's going to be back with you tomorrow. He is back from Israel tomorrow. He will be doing a Life, Liberty, and Live In, all new episodes this weekend. So you can tune in 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Saturday and Sunday. Saturday show, John Yo and Robert Greenway, his guest. And on Sunday, Adam Sohn and Newt Gingrich. And when you take a look at Trump's agendas, I've been working through what is now the most important 100-day window of his administration, where the results from all the action that he put in place during the first 100 days will begin to come to fruition. What we're seeing is lots of early success. The returns are huge. Trade deal with Ukraine. That was a setter on how we're going to deal with foreign aid going forward. You want our money? You want our equipment? You're going to give us something of value in return. That's going to be a reciprocal trade. No more free lunches. We are done taking on all this debt to fund the problems of the rest of the world. You want to do trade deals with us? You're going to rework your tariffs in a way that we're going to reduce that trade deficit or figure out a new path forward if you can't afford to buy our things, which will be the case in some of the underdeveloped countries. We have the roadmap for how this is all coming together. And when you take a look at a combination of imposed tariffs by the United States, reduced tariffs by other countries, use to balance trade, what are we actually talking about here? You know, at some point, it's like it's real money. The U.S. did just over $6 trillion in trade last year, ran a deficit of $1 trillion. Okay? It's a lot of reconfiguring to do. But what you see coming together equals the effect of $1 trillion turnaround. Okay? So talking about $1 trillion turnaround to the U.S. economy by the time he's done reworking these trade deals. That's what it's going to end up looking like. That is an unbelievable difference for our economy. And if you started to take a look at that in terms of budget deficits and where they've been, commonly close to $2 trillion recently, that takes us to the BBB. So it appears that in the battle between the House and Senate over spending, guess what? You got the House that's winning, and that is a particularly good thing. So Lindsey Graham, he had been running the process in the Senate. Originally, they were not looking through the reconciliation process to offer anywhere near the cost savings that the House was. The $1.5 to $2 trillion the House had been talking about seeking this week. This week, Lindsey Graham said that he is committed to finding the $1.5 to $2 trillion in savings. So you also had in the House, the Doge caucus say that they are going to pick up the ball that Elon has gotten started. They're going to do the Doging in this budget, which is the most important way to get it done because that's where all the funding happens as well. So as you have the disclosure happening for all the ways that money is being wasted, and by the way, the Office of Management and Budget Director came out today and said there is rampant waste everywhere in government as Team Doge has been uncovering things, showing how money has been wasted and really, in many cases, looks like laundered. Layers upon layers. That's what Elon and his team were saying yesterday. Layers upon layers of theft and waste taking place. Rampant waste everywhere, according to OMB. Having all of that in front of Congress, so they don't just do baseline budgeting, which is what they've always done, and actually just Doge these whole departments. If we have $1 trillion turnaround on trade annually going forward, or something even close to it, to our benefit, if you have $1.5 trillion to $2 trillion in savings coming from the BBB, led by getting people working again and things like Medicare, putting the work requirements back in, that'll get you $800 billion right there, get you halfway there just on Medicaid. You put all these pieces together, and now you see how we can do all these things, how we can achieve the permanent Trump tax cuts, how we can fund the border agenda, how we can fund the massive deportations that'll be hugely expensive because of all the illegals that Team Biden allowed in. You see that how we're going to be able to do the expansion on the Trump tax cuts with overtime, no tax on tips. All that coming together, the numbers begin to work. This is why it all needed to happen within the first 100 days. It's why all of it needs to come together over the next 100 days. It's a master plan, and it's working. Let's go to Joseph in Montana. Joseph, welcome to the show.
Well, hello, Brian. How are you today?
Doing great. How about yourself?
Quickly, doing well. Very quickly, a couple of things. The portion about all the people crying and complaining about, oh, they're going to take away my Medicaid, and about the people that should be working. I have in my family a prime example. I have a younger brother who is an absolute fantastic airbrush artist. He could be making $100,000 to $200,000 a year, but he'd rather complain about, oh, my back hurts, and sit on his butt and say they're going to take away my benefits, but he hasn't really worked a day in his life to earn any of them, if you know what I mean. Number one. So, yeah, he's full well capable. He can get on his Harley and he can do a 500-mile motorcycle ride, but he can't sit down for 3 hours and knock out a $500 airbrush painting, you know. But the other thing, the main thing that really sticks is I'm retired Navy, did 32 years.
Thank you.
We're getting screwed. Thank you for y'all backing us up. We veterans, young and old, are getting screwed by the VA. If your retirement, for example, is $2,200 a month, but your compensation from the VA is $1,100, they take that off of your retirement pay. You get two checks. You get one check from the VA. That's $1,100. It's tax free, and then you get from the Defense Finance Agency, you get your other $1,100 that is taxed. What happened to the days when you earned your retirement? You had something happen, whether you were wounded in combat or other injuries, whatever it may be, and the service connected, and you would get both. Now they will take it away until you hit 50% disability rating. Then you get both until your disability rating is more than your retirement. Then they make you drop your retirement to take the disability.
Yeah,
I'm not greedy.
That's screwed up.
Yeah, we earned it. I mean, the men and women who had the guts to put on a uniform and go wherever we said. We signed a blank check that when we put our signature on there, the amount that was on that blank check included our lives, and we did it willingly. And these pinheads up in Washington, D.C., and I include Congress in that they just said they're hoping that us old guys like me, I'm Vietnam era veteran, so I'm one of the older guys. They're hoping we all die off and shut up and go away. They don't want to help us, and that's the way a lot of us feel. Somebody needs to put a boots. They need to go through there and clean out the VA, because a whole ton of the people that work in the VA are not veterans.
You're right, and actually, one of my friends. I wish he was my congressman. He's not. He is a South Florida congressman, somebody who has sacrificed as much as anybody who's come out of a combat zone alive. Brian Mast. He lost both his legs and lost one of his fingers. He's a bomb technician and had a bad day. And he serves in Congress now. Man's a patriot, American hero. He has been working on fixing the very types of problems you're talking about with the VA. For example, local offices in his district. He has held his office hours there, seeing and listening to the vets come in, what needs to change, and through the transparencies and been able to enact isolated change at those offices. Getting it done throughout the entire country is obviously what needs to get done now. I'll give Brian your message, and I know it'll be well received because that absolutely needs to be part of what is being dealt with in the BBB. May God bless you and best wishes. And the point that Joseph is making as well about his brother and how he could work, but he chooses not to. That is so often the other aspect of government assistance programs that go too far, that aren't a safety net, that become something that are reliance, that are unnecessary. It's an insidious thing to do because it takes the work ethic out of people. It boils things down and makes somebody less than they otherwise could be. They don't realize their potential. It's the least compassionate thing. And that's always been the big lie about the left anyway. They love giving away other people's money in the name of compassion. And they scream that it's the least compassionate thing if you ever try to take it away by saying, hey, you're actually able-bodied. You could go to work. How about you do some of that today? That is not compassionate. It's the least compassionate thing you could possibly do, to take purpose, to take work, to take the potential out of somebody, because they sit there and they are reduced to their lowest condition, just sucking on the government tea. And it's just one of so many things about making America great again that goes along with ending the abuse of our government programs, ending the abuse of your tax dollars. It actually will bring other people to their full potential. And all we're talking about in the case of something like Medicaid, for example, is putting the work requirements that used to be in back in. No, we can't do that. That's you're taking healthcare away from people. Now what the left is doing is taking the future away from individuals that are lazy, but then actually the entire country by bankrupting it to continue down their fraudulent path. Again, that's why the BBB is the single most important thing of everything that's going on right now. But we are well on our way in this next 100 days. The plan coming together, making America great again. Brian Mudd, in for the great one.
Much lovin'.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Is unpredictable world. Byrna offers a smarter, safer way to protect yourself. Trusted by over 500 government agencies, the Byrna less lethal pistol launcher is designed to incapacitate attackers without permanent harm, giving you time to escape or get help. Take Lauren's story. Confronted by an aggressive man who wouldn't back down despite attempts to de-escalate, Lauren was thankful for his Byrna launcher. One shot incapacitated the attacker, allowing police to intervene without anyone suffering irreparable harm. Byrna is legal across all 50 states, requires no background checks, and ships right to your door. Proudly assembled in Fort Wayne, Indiana, over 500,000 units have been sold. For you, my listeners, get 10% off at Byrna.com/Levin. That's BYRNA.com/LEVIN. Protect yourself and your family the smart way with Byrna. You must be 18 years old, so visit Byrna.com/Levin.
Making sense of your world.
Common sense. Let's get back to common sense.
WMAL's Vince Colonnese, weekdays at noon.
Now that should give you a lot of cause for hope.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
While serving in Iraq, our vehicle was hit. They didn't think I was going to make it. I'm LaToya Lucas, and I'm a veteran. I had to learn to live with the scars, both visible and invisible.
DAV helps veterans like LaToya get the benefits they've earned. They help more than 1 million veterans every year.
My victory is overcoming my wounds so I can help other veterans.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Bright Focus Foundation's Alzheimer's Disease Research Program is paving the way for a cure. Learn about symptoms, diagnosis, and breakthrough research at brightfocus.org or call us at 1-855-345-6237 for free resources.
Making sense of the media.
The news media is attacking him because this is what happens when you're a Republican.
Chris Plant, weekdays 9 to noon.
Yeah, our news media, really.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news. Making sense of your money.
The state of the economy, the ability to afford your life. That's what people want.
WMAL's Vince Colonnese, weekdays at noon.
The kind of thing I pay attention to, I'm looking at.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
What would you give for a child you loved? To make their wish come true? To help them fight a critical illness? Just imagine what you'd do. You see, wishes are so powerful, and you can make them real. They can give a child back their childhood, even change the way they feel. Every single one of us can make the stars align. Because when we come together, hope and joy will shine. Wishes need stars like you. Visit Make-A-Wish at wish.org.
75 years of research, 75 years of policy,
75 years of opportunity,
75 years of freedom.
This is 75 years of the Muscular Dystrophy Association. Join us at MDA75.org.
Happy kids heal faster. That's why Starlight Children's Foundation delivers happiness through gaming, toy deliveries, and more to hospitals across the country. Learn more at starlight.org.
Every time I feel my baby kick, I sing. You don't understand. I never sing. I'm not good at singing. I'm the only person I know who's been booed off a karaoke stage. But that was before I was pregnant. Today, I'm a singer with a captive audience of one. She doesn't boo me. She never will. We know how it feels. We're the March of Dimes. Find out how we can help you have a healthier baby at marchofdimesbaby.org.
Sleep Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. Call 800-809-7171. 800-809-7171.
Paid for by Wesley Financial Group.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to Big Wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Making sense of your world.
I agree with everything you're saying.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
My heart just breaks for what's going on.
Making sense of the news. WMAL. Making sense of the roads. Because traffic doesn't always follow the pattern. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
We stand here together, united, to say that the billionaire class should be afraid of the power of labor and everyday workers across the country.
That literally hurt my ear. Oh my gosh. Oh, AOC, I actually had to pull my headphones back. Oh, man. Yeah. Your Democrat party leader, maybe at this point. AOC, yeah. Billionaire class should be afraid of the power of labor. That's why record number of people that actually want to work are going, hey, you know what? I don't think I have a lot in common with people like AOC, actually. I think this Trump guy is onto something over here. Hey, so talking about the BBB, talking about Doge and the cost savings, and of course Musk getting ready to take a step back, but he said he's going to remain in place in part of this. That basically Doge is now the fabric, part of the fabric of the Trump administration. In fact, you had a Trump administration official today say that they are attached at the hip. So Doge is going nowhere. And here's what Doge has actually saved you. $160 billion. You've heard that number probably at this point. And you have a lot of people who say, well, but that's such a disappointing number because he was throwing numbers out there like up to $2 trillion. Again, wait until we get the BBB done and see what Congress ends up doing here. But $160 billion. What does that actually mean? Well, they have made cuts across 22 federal government agencies. There are 18,796 eliminated initiatives. The net savings to you, $993.79. Every federal taxpayer, the net effect, $993.79. That's what Doge has already saved you at this point. And how many people just say, you know what? You're going to save $1,000 on your taxes next year. How many people are going to say, no, I want USAID funding the transgender comic book hero in Ecuador or wherever it was? I mean, seriously. And so, yeah. Oh, by the way, Jesse Waters ended up doing a Doge interview with Elon and Big Balls. And we learned the origin of Big Balls' name, by the way. It was a spoof on LinkedIn. So he said he made his LinkedIn profile Big Balls because everybody's so uptight on LinkedIn and takes themselves so seriously, and he didn't want to do it. And then you had Elon throw shade on LinkedIn as well. By the way, speaking of Doge savings on LinkedIn, every federal government agency had a DEI deal with LinkedIn because, of course, they weren't interested in hiring the best and the brightest. They were interested in checking boxes. So LinkedIn apparently has this DEI program where you just go, here, we want somebody of indeterminate gender that looks like this. Give us one of them. And they would do things like that. So all of that's been doged. Millions of dollars per federal government department doged from LinkedIn and their woke DEI program. One of the many great things they've done. Let's go to Stephen in Fresno, California. Stephen, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you. The reason I'm calling, you were talking about the VA. I started working at the VA here in Fresno in 2019. I started out as a volunteer, a patient intake, did that for a year, got hired on as a housekeeper. But I went to Oregon briefly and came back, and my supervisor said, Steve, I'm glad you're back. He says, but brother, it's not the same. And that was after Trump got booted out.
Okay, I appreciate the call. Be right back. Brian Mudd in for Mark Levin.
Making sense of your world.
I agree with you 100%.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
There's a lot of us out there.
Making sense of the news.
Ever wonder why your business doesn't show up on online search maps, but your competitors do? It's hundreds of things. Things that Cumulus Boost can identify and fix. And that's how we boost your findability. CumulusBoost.com. CUMULUS Boost.com.
Hey there, I'm Paula Pan, host of the Afford Anything podcast. I help people make the smartest money decisions possible.
You should not do the 401k loan.
Reason number 4,872. Are we heading for a recession?
You'd be shocked.
Dumping it into the house?
Invest in flipping houses.
Mathematically the better option.
Paula Pan's really keeping us in business.
Because face it, money's too important to wing it. Review your budget.
Take the reins.
Sharpen your skills.
Do the things
Start a side hustle
that will affect your life.
Right. Afford Anything. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
School absences are often due to the absence of necessary resources. But when Communities in Schools is present, students are connected to the support they need to show up ready to learn. Visit communitiesinschools.org. Being present matters.
Making sense of the headlines. Making sense of your world. WMAL's Vince Colonnese.
Thank you for all you do on the radio show.
What a nice call. Thank you very much.
Weekdays noon to 3. News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news.
Happy kids heal faster. That's why Starlight Children's Foundation delivers happiness through gaming, toy deliveries, and more to hospitals across the country. Learn more at starlight.org.
My baby brother, a father. Come on, it's time for his nap. Whoa, he can't sleep on his stomach. Babies should always sleep on their backs in a safety-approved crib, and the sleep area should be clear of blankets, toys, and other loose or soft items. It reduces the risk of SIDS. SIDS? You know, sudden infant death syndrome.
Guess I need to start studying up on safe sleep for little man here. Being his favorite uncle comes with big responsibilities.
For more information, visit safetosleep.nichd.nih.gov. Sponsored by the Eunice Kennedy Shriver National Institute of Child Health and Human Development.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station.
Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now.
Party division. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Not all Republicans are in favor of President Trump's slimmed down budget proposal.
The plan is a top-line spending level of $1.7 trillion with $892 billion in discretionary defense spending. An Office of Management and Budget official says the plan is to reach $1 trillion in defense spending by adding an additional $150 billion through President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill. But not all Republicans are on board. Senate Armed Services Committee Chairman Roger Wicker says OMB advisors were apparently not listening to President Trump's peace through strength messaging. Wicker argues including the $150 billion in a separate bill will decrease President Trump's military options and is negotiating leverage.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz in Washington. The president, in an interview with NBC News Myth Press set to air Sunday, said the U.S. economy is in a transition period, but he expects it to be doing fantastically. Wall Street extended its gains today, but the markets have been volatile after tariffs are placed on nearly every trading partner. The Trump administration is nearing a settlement in a wrongful death suit from the family of a woman shot during the 2021 Capitol riot.
Attorneys for the Justice Department and lawyers for the estate of Ashley Babbitt have a tentative deal to settle a wrongful death lawsuit filed last year. Details are still being worked out and a final agreement has not been signed, but lawyers say the deal would settle a $30 million suit brought by family members of Babbitt. The 35-year-old Air Force veteran was shot to death by a U.S. Capitol police officer as she tried climbing through a door near the House chamber. The officer was cleared of any wrongdoing. Federal prosecutors say he acted in self-defense and in defense of lawmakers.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. The Army's confirmed there will be a military parade on President Trump's birthday next month as part of the celebrations of the service's 250th birthday. America's listening to Fox News.
Robbery suspect shot. I'm Sharon Reardon from the Novak Motors News Desk. Good evening. We're learning more about an officer-involved shooting in the DuPont Circle this afternoon.
The Metro Transit Police are investigating a shooting involving one of their officers. Now, the officer was working the beat at DuPont Circle Metro Station when they were alerted to a robbery at that jewelry store right beside the station. Now, the Metro Transit officer then confronted the suspects outside, shooting a female suspect in the leg. A man was also taken into custody. Police also say they recovered a weapon at the scene. The officer involved in that shooting was not hurt. In Northwest D.C., Carl Willis, 7 News.
A preliminary settlement's been reached between the Trump administration and Ashley Babbitt's family, who sued after she was shot and killed by a Capitol Police officer on January 6th. No word yet on the details. The civil lawsuit alleges Lieutenant Michael Byrd did not warn Babbitt before he shot her or do anything to de-escalate the situation. The government argued she illegally entered the Capitol and tried to climb through a broken window into the Speaker's lobby while the electoral votes were being counted. The countdown is on for Real ID enforcement.
Beginning May 7th, TSA will no longer accept non-compliant state-issued IDs for domestic flights. After that date, you can use a military ID or a passport in case you don't have a real ID. That will also help you visit or enter a federal facility. As of March, Maryland residents were 99% compliant, one of the top numbers in the country. Virginia, just under 60%. And with folks searching for birth certificates to get that real ID, Registrar Seth Austin with the busy Vital Records Office.
Our current processing times are a little bit extended from where they normally are.
Across the DMV, you're asked to check for your local jurisdiction's requirements online. Scotland on WMAL and WMAL.com.
WMAL news time is 8:04. I'm Sharon Reardon, and now here's your WMAL traffic and weather from the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
WMAL traffic. This report: Scott Montgomery County still dealing with an accident in Hicklandale on the outer loop of the Beltway after New Hampshire Avenue's exit 28. Adding a nickel to that already jammed traffic as far back as the 95 interchange in Montgomery County at exit 27, with authorities and EMS now on the scene. Jammed traffic this update in southeast on DC 295 northbound between the 11th Street Bridge and East Capitol Street, with light traffic beginning to dissipate. I'm Dr. Gavin Montgomery. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Storm Watch 7 forecast.
Tonight, isolated showers and thunderstorms, lows in the mid-60s to lower 70s. Tomorrow, scattered showers and thunderstorms, warm, highs around 85.
Hackers don't need much. Just one leaked password can potentially unlock a treasure trove of personal information, leading to stress, pain, and permanently wrecked credit. Don't be an easy target. Get protection by Aura today. Aura protects your identity, finances, and family all in one powerful app. Get real-time alerts, safeguard your accounts, and block scams before they happen. If identity theft strikes, we help you recover. Stay protected at aura.com/stream. That's AURA.com/stream.
Hey, if you have ugly yellow toe fungus, you got to hear about the secret 2-minute trick that I found for my husband. It works from both the inside and the outside. Thousands of people are using it to get rid of their toe fungus. You can check it out at crystalflesh.com. Jake started off with a small spot on his big toe, and then it spread and got really bad. His toes were nasty. It was so embarrassing. He was afraid to take his socks off. He hid his yellow and crumbly toes from everyone. He tried everything to get rid of it. Nothing helped. And then we found crystalflesh.com. It was the only thing that worked. In just a few weeks, his toes looked amazing. He's now walking around barefoot again. You guys need to try this. I'm telling you, this stuff is different. It's not sold in stores, but go check it out at crystalflesh.com. They'll even let you try it risk-free, so you have nothing to lose. But whatever you do, don't let it get worse. You don't have to live with this anymore. Go check it out now. Just click over to crystalflesh.com.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
And Vatican firefighters are installing the chimney that will signal to the world when a new pope is selected. Millions will be watching for white smoke above the Sistine Chapel once that conclave begins in 5 days.
All the world's cardinals are here right now. Most of them come a couple days ago. And it's this time leading up to the conclave that is really crucial. Nearly every day, they have these things called general congregations where they all meet. And in these, we hear cardinals giving speeches. They all get together and discuss what qualities they want in the next pope. And you sort of start to see some favorites emerge.
ABC News on the report there, the chimney being installed, so you can watch the smoke that will begin underway next week. And as we head into the third hour, I want to talk about the passing of Pope Francis and what I believe is really an inflection point for society, not just this country, obviously, but all of Christianity and really the world at large. So or a dive there. Brian Mudd in for Mark Levin. And speaking of religious matters, Mark has been in the Holy Land all week, but he will be back tomorrow and ready for Life, Liberty, and Levin. All new episodes tomorrow night and Sunday. And of course, the great one back with you all next week. And as we take a look at matters of faith here, I believe that this moment is an inflection point. I'm Catholic. I am passionate about my faith. Been doing better about that of late, actually. No fan of Pope Francis's leadership. Not a fan of that guy, actually. And when you take a look at a lot of the surveys out there, that makes my position an unusual one generally, because I know most Catholics are like, well, I mean, even if I didn't like what he said there, or maybe this policy, it's the Pope. I do understand that. I'm not good enough that way, I guess. I can't get there. If I see something that's wrong, it sticks with me. And there is a lot that Pope Francis brought to the table that was wrong. Not in my opinion, but in God's opinion. I'll explain that. You know, when Pope Francis passed, I was kind of hit like with the mixed emotions. On one hand, you know, you do have a little bit of sadness, at least, that goes along with the passing of the leader of the faith. But on the other hand, I was like, hey, the era of Pope Francis's progressivism, done. The end of that progressive Pope had come to a close. And that's also why the church, the faith, and in so many ways, I believe Christianity by extension, are now at an inflection point in our society. Because simply put, but there's no room for progressivism within Catholicism. There isn't. The very point of Catholicism is originalism. It's like the Constitution. If you're a constitutionalist, you're an originalist that way. Well, Catholicism is a form of originalism. So the role of the Pope to this day, and this is the single most instructive point, I believe, the role of the Pope to this day has not changed. It has not changed since St. Peter. You know, one of Jesus's 12 disciples, who was the first Pope, has not changed since St. Peter was Pope. It's the exact same mandate. What's changed? People that have decided to change things. You know, Christ's teachings, they're Christ's teachings. God's word, it's God's word. You know, since the onset of humanity, literally, you go back to Adam and Eve. What has man done? We decided to take liberties with God's law, right? It's like, hey, the apple over there is looking pretty good. Well, you know, yeah, but look, the snake over here is saying we should go for it. All right? I mean, there are always temptation. We always take liberties. We always get comfortable and then do the wrong things, right? And how does that work out? And you know, this happens all throughout time. We do things to fit our desires, to fill our curiosities. And never ends well. Never ends well. Never has. It's remarkable from a historical context, let alone a religious understanding of any of it. But just from a historical context, if you line up the religion to outcomes, it is remarkable how society after society thinks that it knows better than God, or just outright has chosen to ignore the word of God. They tend not to stay around. You know, one of the things that is really interesting in reading the Old Testament, along the way, you really are bound to think, what the heck were these people thinking? I mean, you don't have to know these specific stories in many instances to know that, boy, this is really not going to go well. Like, I mean, you get into, you know, a particular story, you know where the ending is going before you even get there, like over and over again. So God provided for and protected his people time and again, seemingly each time after some period of time. And do what? And go off and do their own things. Ignore God's teachings in the process. Sometimes desire to worship false idols, other times motivated by greed. And the commonality all throughout human history is that when flawed people, as we all are left to our own devices, yeah, we do tend to do the wrong things. We stray from the teachings of God, even people of faith. And so nowhere along the way was there or has there been a time where God came back, for example, and said, hey, you know what? That whole 10 Commandments thing, boy, it's kind of rich, don't you? I mean, like, I was kind of kidding about that stuff. And it's been a long time, been a number of years now. So, we'll just go ahead and do away with some of those. What do you think? That hasn't happened. Hasn't actually happened. Or, you know what? I've been doing some thinking, and it's time for you to just kind of like make up your own rules and do whatever you think feels good to you. And that's effectively what progressivism is, right? Times change, societies change, technology changes. Yeah, God's word, it doesn't. Yet the creeping crud of progressivism, just as it has infiltrated everything, all the DEI nonsense, the homosexual alphabet, from our schools all the way through religion, here we sit with this situation. Pope Francis advocated for leftist modern political constructs, including social justice, environmental justice, open borders, not building walls, which is quite comical given that arguably the most impressive in the world surround the Vatican. He also softened the church's stance on homosexuality, marriage, divorce, any number of things. God's word didn't change. Did not change. Just the previous pope's opinion of those things. And history suggests doesn't go well, does not go well when you start going your own way and doing your own things. Hence why I think this moment in time represents an inflection point for the Catholic Church, but also many ways for society. Because you start taking a look at all this stuff, and yeah, we have the nukes, and yeah, we've got AI, and in so many ways it can take over. And then, yeah, and now we're just going to go do our own thing, and we're going to go all progressive in faith, and just see where it takes us. Again, I mean, you can just read the Bible from a historical perspective and start to line things up if you head down that path. So many sects of Christianity, they've already gone woke, deciding to just kind of go off and do their own thing. And if the largest of them all just kind of falls prey to the progressivism of the day, look, probably not great. Probably not great. Not for the faith or, biblically speaking, for societies either. So it is incumbent upon the Catholic Church to do its part to hold the line and to spread God's word, not their own words in the place of, according to the Pew Research Center, among Catholics, Pope Francis had a 78% of favorability rating at the time of his passing. And so, I say, I understand my critical view of the situation, an outlier's opinion. But what I also think is interesting is just how well-intentioned, like, for example, many Catholics actually are. Because if you take a look at the other side of the spectrum, given a better choice, my opinion, my lifetime, Pope John Paul II, best pope, he also happens to be the most approved of. He has a 93% approval rating. So evidently, there are like 15% of Catholics that feel the way that I do, or at least told Pew that's how they felt. So what this shows, with only that 15-point difference between the favorability ratings for a conservative pope and a progressive pope, is the significant influence over Catholics that a pope has. So what comes next year? So we got the papal conclave at the Sistine Chapel in Vatican City. This starts next Wednesday. That's why they're installing the chimney today for the smoke. They're going to get together starting Wednesday. And Over 130 Cardinals are going to participate. It's going to be the most ever that will be voting. You got 5 front runners that are rumored to have emerged, and who the heck knows? But by the way, because the world we live in, you got betting lines and all this stuff too. It seems wholly appropriate for the situation, right? So actually, the floated front runners are these: Luis Tagle of the Philippines. He's a 67-year-old progressive. You've got Pietro Parolin of Italy. He's a 70-year-old moderate. You've got Peter Turkson of Ghana, a 76-year-old progressive. You've got Peter Erdo of Hungary. He's a 72-year-old conservative. By the way, like if these are the choices you go with, he's my guy. I'm on Erdo. I don't actually have money on him. I don't know if it's necessarily the best idea here, but he would be my guy. And you've got Angelo Scola of Italy, who is an 82-year-old conservative. So what you've got here, 2 conservatives, 2 progressives, and a potential pope in the middle. So what comes next from the Vatican potentially matters more than most of the things going on in the world right now, which is really saying something. So, I do pray that the next decision, no matter who the person ends up being, prioritizes, I don't know, like God's word over their own ideas on the way of the world. Because I think the fate of the faith, but who knows? Who knows? Maybe even the world could hang in the balance. Brian Mudd, in for the great one.
Mudd, Levin. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
And you worked hard your whole life. You've paid your taxes, raised your families, played by the rules. But now you're looking around and wondering, what happened to the country I love? Here's the good news. You're not alone. Millions of patriotic Americans over 50 feel exactly the same way, and they're taking a stand. Taking a stand to bring fairness back, to root out waste and fraud, and proudly standing for our Judeo-Christian values. But you can't do it alone. That's where the Association of Mature American Citizens come in. AMAC is the senior organization that actually aligns with your values, faith, freedom, and common sense. Just $16 a year. Just $16 a year? Wow. You'll join a nationwide movement, and you'll get a subscription to the AMAC magazine, the best of the best. Plus access to money-saving discounts and benefits on things you already use and need. Join now at amac.us/Levin. That's amac.us/LEVIN. You've done your part for this country. Now let the Association of Mature American Citizens do their part for you.
Hackers don't need much. Just one leaked password can potentially unlock a treasure trove of personal information, leading to stress, pain, and permanently wrecked credit. Don't be an easy target. Get protection by Aura today. Aura protects your identity, finances, and family all in one powerful app. Get real-time alerts, safeguard your accounts, and block scams before they happen. If identity theft strikes, we help you recover. Stay protected at aura.com/stream. That's AURA.com/stream.
Hey, if you have ugly yellow toe fungus, you got to hear about the secret 2-minute trick that I found for my husband. It works from both the inside and the outside. Thousands of people are using it to get rid of their toe fungus. You can check it out at crystalflush.com. Jake started off with a small spot on his big toe, and then it spread and got really bad. His toes were nasty. It was so embarrassing. He was afraid to take his socks off. He hid his yellow and crumbly toes from everyone. He tried everything to get rid of it. Nothing helped. And then we found crystalflush.com. It was the only thing that worked. In just a few weeks, his toes looked amazing. He's now walking around barefoot again. You guys need to try this. I'm telling you, this stuff is different. It's not sold in stores, but go check it out at crystalflush.com. They'll even let you try it risk-free, so you have nothing to lose. But whatever you do, don't let it get worse. You don't have to live with this anymore. Go check it out now. Just click over to crystalflush.com.
Former MLB All-Star Sean Casey, a.k.a. The Mayor, keeps hitting it out of the park.
Take my 30 years of experience. Take the wisdom and knowledge I've learned from the failures when I got sent down my rookie year, all the injuries I had to overcome. Your mind is the most important tool you have in life. Be relentless. Keep charging. It matters how you talk to yourself, how you look at the world. That matters. We talk about that. I don't know. I'm fired up. Baseball's back, and it's going to be incredible. I love it.
The Mayor's Office with Sean Casey from Believe.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
For a local news source you can trust, visit WMAL.com.
Thank God for that.
Get the day's top stories, stream your favorite WMAL shows, access our podcast archives, and more. WMAL.com, making sense of your world online.
We're the stronger than we look type.
I've had type 1 diabetes since I was 2.
The braver than you think type.
I have to take insulin shots every single day.
The type that will stop at nothing.
No more blood sugar tests.
Absolutely nothing.
No more complications.
Until type 1 becomes type none.
Support JDRF's life-changing research, and one day you'll say, I helped turn type 1 into type none. Join us now at jdrf.org.
Why did I wait so long to see a retina specialist?
Retinal disease can steal your eyesight, but it doesn't have to. Patients who seek care from a retina specialist have the best chance of preventing vision loss due to age-related macular degeneration or diabetic retinopathy. AMD symptoms to look out for are distortion or warping of straight lines, as well as blurred or loss of central vision. Patients with diabetic retinopathy should seek treatment if they notice the appearance of spots or floaters or blurred and distorted vision. Visit seeforalifetime.org.
The great works of literature, the meaning of the U.S. Constitution. Did you study these things in school? Probably not. Or even if you did, maybe it's time for a refresher. Hillsdale College is offering more than 40 free online courses. Learn about the works of C.S. Lewis, the stories in the book of Genesis, or the history of the ancient Christian church with Hillsdale College's free online courses. I'm personally enjoying Hillsdale's course, The Second World Wars, taught by Victor Davis Hanson and Hillsdale's president, Larry P. Arnn. Doesn't get any better than that. This free 7-lecture course will give you a clear picture of why the war was fought, how the Allied powers ultimately triumphed in order to save the West from a new form of tyranny. The course is self-paced, so you can start whenever you want. Go right now to levinforhillsdale.com to enroll. That's LEVIN for Hillsdale.com. No cost. It's easy to get started. That's levinforhillsdale.com to register for free. LEVIN for Hillsdale.com.
Making sense of your world.
Thank you for what you do.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
You give me hope.
Making sense of the news. First thing each morning, O'Connor and Company with Larry O'Connor. Weekday mornings from 5 to 9 on WMAL.
It helps when you know that borders are not racist, speech is not violence, America is good, terrorists are bad, men can never become women, police are not criminals, and criminals are not victims.
Oh, gotta get an amen. All right, so that was Trump last night, the commencement, University of Alabama. Great stuff. Borders are not racist. Men can't become women. Borders are not racist. This is a true. You know what is though? DEI is actually racist. You know, the greatest thing, the greatest fraud about diversity, equity, and inclusion is that it is actually racist. It is actually bigotry in motion. And it's been a bad couple of weeks for DEI. You know, I mentioned just a bit ago that DOJ found more DEI in the federal government, where federal government agencies, every last one of them, had DEI deals for millions of dollars a piece of your and my tax money going to LinkedIn so they could sit there and check boxes rather than hire the best people for the job. And not only are those contracts gone, LinkedIn's woke program should be gone, but the DEI policies for 60%, as we're rolling through earnings season for corporate America, 60% of corporate America has rolled back their DEI policies. But there's something else that the president has his eyes on, and that is within school as well. He signed, at this point, I believe it's 3 or 4 DEI related executive orders. One that he has signed recently, reinstating common sense school discipline policies. One other thing that the administration ended up finding, this came from research out of the Department of Education. Linda McMahon doing a great job, as hopefully she does put herself out of business before this administration is done by ending the Department of Education. The stated purpose of the order: the federal government will no longer tolerate known risks to children's safety and well-being in the classroom. that result from the application of school discipline based on discriminatory and unlawful equity ideology. So in the order, it explains that among other issues with DEI policies, they've made schools less safe. Schools are actually less safe because of DEI. Not just the bathroom situation, not just, sports situations that are less safe. No, but actually get this. According to a federal commission study on school safety, DEI policies led to schools ignoring or covering up rather than disciplining student misconduct in order to avoid any purported racial disparity in discipline numbers. Oh, that's fun. That's fun. So if we had something that should be disciplined, but they were a particular DEI category, we just don't count that one in the numbers. But over there's a white one, and he looks like he's a straight boy too, so that one's a problem. This is how woke and how rogue the whole situation has become. One of the things I was recently digging into, because in the local school district here, the Palm Beach County, Florida School District, recently had a vote to put an end to DEI policies because from one of the president's previous executive orders, recognized that it was actually a violation of the Civil Rights Act. The Civil Rights Act. And so when I was doing research on what was going on within the county's DEI policies, I found a bunch of things that played out nationally, things that you need to be mindful of in your own kids' schools. I'll break that down for you next. Brian Mudd in for the great one, Mark Levin.
In today's unpredictable world, Byrna offers a smarter, safer way to protect yourself. Trusted by over 500 government agencies, the Byrna less lethal pistol launcher is designed to incapacitate attackers without permanent harm, giving you time to escape or get help. Take Lauren's story, confronted by an aggressive man who wouldn't back down despite attempts to de-escalate. Lauren was thankful for his Byrna launcher. One shot incapacitated the attacker, allowing police to intervene without anyone suffering irreparable harm. Byrna is legal across all 50 states, requires no background checks, and ships right to your door. Proudly assembled in Fort Wayne, Indiana, over 500,000 units have been sold. For you, my listeners, get 10% off at Byrna.com/Levin. That's BYRNA.com/LEVIN. Protect yourself and your family the smart way with Byrna. You must be 18 years old, so visit Byrna.com/Levin.
Hey, if you have ugly yellow toe fungus, you got to hear about the secret 2-minute trick that I found for my husband. It works from both the inside and the outside. Thousands of people are using it to get rid of their toe fungus. You can check it out at crystalflush.com. Jake started off with a small spot on his big toe, and then it spread and got really bad. His toes were nasty. It was so embarrassing. He was afraid to take his socks off. He hid his yellow and crumbly toes from everyone. He tried everything to get rid of it. Nothing helped. And then we found crystalflush.com. It was the only thing that worked. In just a few weeks, his toes looked amazing. He's now walking around barefoot again. You guys need to try this. I'm telling you, this stuff is different. It's not sold in stores, but go check it out at crystalflush.com. They'll even let you try it risk-free, so you have nothing to lose. But whatever you do, don't let it get worse. You don't have to live with this anymore. Go check it out now. Just click over to crystalflush.com.
A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
Every year since 2019, the Mediterranean diet has been named the best overall diet by U.S. News & World Report. And no surprise, the diet once again finds itself at the top of the list. Well, as a colleague of mine put it, it's actually more of a lifestyle than a diet, since in addition to the foods you should and should not be eating, it also emphasizes the importance of meals with family and friends, as well as daily exercise. But when it comes to the food, you do want to eat less meat, more fish, plenty of fruits and vegetables, whole grains, nuts and seeds. A lot of people who follow the Mediterranean diet will also tell you that they do have a glass of wine with dinner. And you know what? It could be that the slower meal and the socialization aspect of that wine has more health benefits than the alcohol itself. Also good for you, go for a nice walk after your meal. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Making sense of the border.
Homeland security is right there at the tippy top of American concerns.
WMAL's Vince Colonnese, weekdays at noon.
You've got to be tough.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Searching HVAC near here.
Right here, ma'am. How can we help?
Wow, nobody local? Huh.
Wait, what? We are an HVAC company literally in your neighborhood. Why is she not seeing us?
Just all the big chains. Well, it is what it is.
What in the... Can you not see us?
Nope, they can't see you because you're buried deep in the list of local HVAC providers. You are invisible online. Introducing Cumulus Boost. Get a boost, get found, get on the map. Learn more at cumulusboost.com.
No contest wrestling. O'Shea Jackson Jr. and TJ Jefferson with the biggest names in the game.
Give it up for the Dark Angel.
First one.
First.
I can believe it.
NXT double champion. Welcome to King, Lexus King.
I don't know if I'd be where I'm at now if I didn't take the path that I took.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jada Parker. What made you after the soccer career go WWE?
The answer I always have to that is like, why not?
The No Contest Wrestling Podcast, part of the Rich Eisen Podcast Network. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Hey, if you have ugly yellow toe fungus, you got to hear about the secret 2-minute trick that I found for my husband. It works from both the inside and the outside. Thousands of people are using it to get rid of their toe fungus. You can check it out at crystalflesh.com. Jake started off with a small spot on his big toe and then it spread and got really bad. His toes were nasty. It was so embarrassing. He was afraid to take his socks off. He hid his yellow and crumbly toes from everyone. He tried everything to get rid of it. Nothing helped. And then we found crystalflesh.com. It was the only thing that worked. In just a few weeks, his toes looked amazing. He's now walking around barefoot again. You guys need to try this. I'm telling you, this stuff is different. It's not sold in stores, but go check it out at crystalflesh.com. They'll even let you try it risk-free so you have nothing to lose. But whatever you do, don't let it get worse. You don't have to live with this anymore. Go check it out now. Just click over to crystalflesh.com.
Making sense of your world.
I can't believe this.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
And I am so with you.
Making sense of the news. WMAL, making sense of social media because big tech can't be trusted. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
You're listening to Denali. It's a great one.
A great one.
And you can call it now. 877-381-3811.
If you had to do it all over again, would you vote for Donald Trump again, yes or no?
Yes, I would. Mm-hmm. Now, in the future, I am not a diehard Democrat or a diehard Republican. If there were a Democratic candidate who was more aligned for me, then I would vote Democrat.
If you go back in time, would you vote for Donald Trump, yes or no?
Yes.
I think I might know the answer on this.
She said yes.
It's immediately yes.
No, I'm sorry.
If you had to do it all over again, would you vote for Donald Trump, yes or no?
1,000% absolutely yes.
There you go. You talk about a successful 100 days. So 3 black Trump voters, CNN, Savannah Jones, and the 1,000% still in for Trump. And that is what you've seen time and again, that people are still with him. And what we have seen, come together over this first 4 months of his presidency is something historic, but it's also something sustainable. One of the biggest things that the left from the beginning miscalculated about Donald Trump is that they thought they could influence, that they could break him. And the one thing that I've been curious about, and I think we're now defeating this too, they were always wrong about that, of course, because the media never made Trump, so media couldn't break Trump. And last election proved that no matter what the godless souls and slanderous news media does, it doesn't matter to most of this country anymore. People are too smart for that. Certainly, as you take a look at the highest percentage, it's one of the most fascinating stats about Trump's win last November. He had the most diverse voter base of any president since 1960. You have to go back to JFK to find the last time that you had as diverse of a constituency as Trump had. It's a remarkable thing. And it shows just how much has changed as people have opened their eyes. The one thing I was curious about, would the left be able to scare people economically? You know, the tariff thing is new. The tariff thing sounds like it could be a scary thing. And then you saw what happened in the stock market. And so everybody went all in. All the godless souls and slanderers, leftist economists went all in. All of the usual players in your news video went all in. All fear all the time. And what we see now, 30 days removed from Liberation Day, with the stock market having recovered its losses from all of that fear and all of that nonsense, S&P ended this week the best winning streak it's had in over 20 years. The labor market, the job market, coming in much better than expected today, all throughout the month of April, when the tariff stuff, the fear was at its greatest. What it shows, I believe, is that, they were wrong and they lied about that too. So even that piece isn't going to stick. And now you see that the left is left with essentially talking about DEI and my local school district.
I'm taking off. I'll be back later. I'm going to take a break and go clean my kitchen up. I had a burger for dinner. So I'll be back later. I'm going to take a break.